Nothing like a beautiful cliche soundbite being such a lie. Cut losses quick. Have you ever heard anything like that? Because it is a fact of the matter. Yeah, you need to cut losses quick. But just because you start to say that, just because you start to proclaim that, it is actually very cliche, because you got to stop and just think, wait a minute, there's a lot of kind of words in there that there's a lot of layers to this onion. And this whole kind of idea came to me based off of this YouTube little exchange. So this comment is just being made on one of the videos I have, cut your losses quick. And somebody replies back, to which I do agree, that's such a cliche. But I reply back, but not too quick. So let's break this down, because like I said, there's all sorts of great sounding sound bites out there that are true, but they're true in a very deceiving way. And this is a great example of it. Cut your losses quick. You're probably thinking, nah, I think, Clay, what are you talking about? That's very cut your losses quick. Well, let me ask you this. When does something actually become a loss? As soon as it shows red, does that mean it's a loss and you should go up? So you go down by a penny and, oh, okay, I'm losing money, I gotta get out. Is that the type of quick? Maybe you're saying, of course, Clay, it's a penny. No, you gotta give it a penny. Just because you start to lose a penny doesn't mean that you need to be that quick to get out because it's a loss. Okay, fine. What about 10 cents? If you get in something and now all of a sudden you're technically losing on the trade by 10 cents, is that when quick goes into operation and you need to, cut as in get out? Do you see where I'm kind of going with this? Is it becomes very, very gray in a hurry. So the first big thing is, what actually is a loss? Or maybe, when does something become a loss? Because I'm telling you right now, if your definition of a losing trade is if I get in and then if the price even goes a penny, 5 cents, 10 cents below me, I got to get out, then you're barking up a wrong tree. Now, what I will tell you this. There are some instances where if something goes 10 cents against you, then yeah, that probably is a loss that should be cut in a quick manner. But in other cases, it's not. Clay, you're going to tell me about these? No, because this is just all the nuances of trading that can't simply be explained in one video. My point here is that, yeah, I think we're all seeing how quickly this thing is spinning out of control. And then you look at quick. Again, well, how? How is quick being defined? I mean, is it because something over here is occurring or something based on simply the price, maybe something based on my account value? But how is quick being defined in terms of when it should be implemented? So there's once again, well, when should you act that quick? And then you start to got to figure out, goals. When you can start to define goals, that'll help define losses and quick. But just because you have a goal doesn't mean that it's realistic. So here, you'd have, we'll just call it real to represent realistic goals. You need to have realistic goals that are going to help you to determine when something is actually a losing trade, when something is actually a loser. And, that's going to help determine, how the quick and, when all that should be factored in. And yeah, like I said, well, Clay, are you going to tell me all this sort of stuff? Well, no, because this is all on you. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what your personal situation is. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. Clay, I'm trying to make money. Okay, that's a little too broad, buddy. And then because I don't know what your goals are, I can't really comment on if they're realistic. So this is why stuff like this. Well, yeah, Clay, I understand you got to cut your losses quick, so therefore I'm ready to trade with real money. That sounds good. That makes you sound like you're intelligent. But in my mind, I'm wondering, of course, what we talked about. Well, do you actually know how to define a loss when something becomes a loss? Do you actually know how to define when you should be acting quickly, what quick actually is? Lots of nuances here. So don't trick yourself into walking around saying all this stuff. This is probably one of the biggest ones. I understand risk management, Clay. I know to cut your losses quick. You're lying to yourself. Now, if you can go through and be like, oh yeah, a loss is dictated by this, and then when that occurs, I need to act quickly, because by acting quickly in that situation, it's still allowing that goal to be possible. And yeah, that goal is definitely more than realistic given I honor, all these different rules within the strategy. So just really stop and think about it. I'm not saying that maybe you per se are using this exact slogan, but as somebody that has worked with traders for quite a while now, I see this time and time again where they're throwing all these great sound bites at me that, in their mind, and I understand, I get it. I'm not blaming them, because when you're new and you don't know what you don't know, it's very easy to think that because you know that slogan, that means that you have trading figured out, that you understand risk management. But there is a lot more to it, and this is exactly what I mean by it. So just be very careful of that. Be honest with yourself. If you're kind of, any sort of soundbite that you have in your mind, break it down. Try to literally break down the definition of each word. Even heck, here, I'll talk cut. What does that mean? Does cut mean, for example, your entire position? Or maybe you just, in some situation, I need to, sell maybe just 50% of my position. So even that word right there can have nuances, can have many layers of an onion. And that's just, so I guess a 4-word statement, and 3 of them have all sorts of different layers of context to it. So just keep that in mind, be aware of it, and don't let somebody, or don't let yourself kind of trick yourself just because, well, yeah, cut losses quick, I got it all figured out. I promise. There is a lot more to it. If you are out there trading alone currently and maybe are in the market looking for a community to join to assist you in your trading or to just help you, give you another set of eyeballs, then I do have a private trading community where you can trade alongside me and other experienced traders. So